I've had my hands on Google's brand new Pixel 10, 10 Pro and 10 Pro XL, including extensively testing the 10 Pro XL's camera in Paris. Long story short, I'm impressed. So let's dive in and find out more. If you're expecting a totally new generation of Pixel devices, then you may be a little bit disappointed. The Pixel 10 range is very much more of an evolution of what we already had, rather than a complete overhaul. And honestly, that's fine. I loved the Pixel 9 series when it launched last year, and it certainly doesn't require a complete change just one generation later. The 9 series slick design remains, as does the awesome camera, while the latest Android 16 software brings a variety of cool new updates. Then there's the new Tensor G5 processor, which Google claims is both faster and more power efficient than the G4 in last year's model. And yes, some of the Pixel 10's new features are based around AI. In particular in the camera, which does seem to incorporate AI more and more into the way you take photos. Whether that's good or bad is for you to decide, but certainly that rear camera setup can take some gorgeous looking photos, as I found out in Paris, so why don't we start there? I headed out onto the streets of Paris armed with the Pixel 10 Pro XL in order to put the camera to the test. So I basically wandered around like any tourist would, snapping away at the lovely buildings, the beautiful streets, the charming views, and the guys on one wheels holding tiny dogs. And overall, I am impressed at the photos that I was able to capture from all three lenses. The main 50 megapixel sensor captures superb dynamic range with natural colors and plenty of detail, while the 48 megapixel ultra-wide camera does a great job of packing more into the scene. Then there's the 48 megapixel telephoto lens, which at its maximum 5x optical zoom delivers pin-sharp images. But Google has squeezed in some AI trickery to help take that zoom even further. If you digitally zoom in to 30 times, the phone will upscale those details to try and create a sharper image. And yeah, they look pretty good. Maybe not good enough for a professional photography portfolio, but certainly good enough for an Instagram post. But it can go further still, using generative AI to fill in some of those details lost by the digital zoom. It works best for static scenes like cityscapes, so take this as an example. In the original, we can see it's very fuzzy and difficult to see what's going on, but the AI version has rebuilt a lot of that detail and made it, well, it's not perfect, but it's definitely better. And ditto with this shot. Where it didn't fare so well is with this example, when I zoomed in to take a picture of a plane going overhead, and that became an odd sort of bundle of sticks with a weird clown nose on the front. But it does bring up an important question in that if it's using generative AI to create a scene as you're zooming in, is it really a photo that you're still taking? Google is certainly trying to get ahead of some of the moral quandaries here, as it has said that it will not apply that AI upscaling to pictures of people's faces in order to avoid inaccurate representations. Design-wise, things haven't really changed all that much since the Pixel 9, and to be honest, I think that's fine. The Pixel 9 introduced this beautiful, slick design that I really don't think needs changing every single generation. Google clearly knew it had a good thing and it's stuck with it, at least for now. The back of the phone is now magnetic, allowing it to use Qi 2 supported wireless chargers or other magnetic accessories. And indeed, it should be compatible with most MagSafe accessories as well as various Qi 2 accessories. Both the 10 Pro and 10 Pro XL's displays looked bright and vibrant in my hands-on time, and while I only got to use the 10 Pro indoors, outdoors at least the 10 Pro XL was more than bright enough to counter the midday Paris sun. And the phones will launch with the latest Android 16 on board. It brings a variety of updates, including the Material 3 expressive UI that brings various changes to things like their text icons, menus, and the overall interface to give a more refined look. Now, I already liked the stock Android on the Pixel 9, I found it very simple to use, and what I've seen so far of Android 16 certainly looks good. It doesn't seem like it's a total overhaul of the Android experience, just lots of subtle tweaks here and there to make it a little bit more usable on a day-to-day basis. Unsurprisingly, AI is a big part of the Pixel 10 range and in Android 16. There are various new tools being launched on the phone, including Magic Q, which aims to magically surface information right when you need it the most. For example, say you're texting your friend about an upcoming camping trip and they've asked for some of the details that they've just forgotten because they're a terrible person. Magic Q will understand their question and be able to go back through your messaging history or into your email inbox to find that relevant information. Maybe it's the booking reference for the campsite, maybe it's directions on where it's going to be or the dates where it's going to take place. And by bringing that information right to the forefront for you means you don't have to go hunting around different apps in order to find it. It certainly sounds like a really helpful tool, but how it actually functions in real life remains to be seen. There are a host of other AI tools, including a real-time voice translation when you're making phone calls, as well as existing tools, of course, like Gemini Advanced or Circle to Search. And Google has confirmed that all the Pixel 10 models will receive 7 years of software updates and 7 years of security updates, meaning these phones should still be good to use in at least 2032. That is, as long as you look after them. Don't drop them off a bridge or something. The base Pixel 10, 10 Pro and 10 Pro XL all run the same Tensor G5 processor, and while the base model gets 8GB of RAM, the Pro models up that to 16 for a little bit of extra multitasking prowess. How the silicon actually performs in everyday use remains to be seen, but Google has promised that that new Tensor G5 chip has got significant upgrades in both its CPU and GPU performance. Google also reckons you should easily get a full day of battery life from each of the phones. You might think that the larger Pro XL with its bigger battery would give you a bit more battery life, but it does also have the much bigger screen to power, which probably negates any of that extra battery life. Battery life on the Pixel 9 was fairly average, but I'm honestly okay with that being the case again, as long as I can just get through a regular day of use. I'm sure I'm not alone in simply putting my phone on charge every night anyway, so as long as it can get through to the end of the day when I go to bed, I'm happy. What is new though is the implementation of Qi 2 charging. Now that is the latest version of the wireless charging standard, which promises faster 25-watt charging speeds. Wired charging is faster too, with the 10 Pro supporting 30-watt charging and the 10 Pro XL supporting 45-watt charging. Google reckons the XL model will go from empty to 70% full in just 30 minutes on charge, which is definitely going to come in handy if you're about to go out on a big night out at the end of the working day and you forgot to give your phone a charge at lunchtime. So the Pixel 10 phones, are they actually worth buying? Well, the base 10, the 10 Pro and the 10 Pro XL aren't really that different from the 9 series last year, so if you've already got a Pixel 9, you certainly don't need to be looking to upgrade here. Also, probably not if you've got a Pixel 8. But those of you with much older Pixel phones, or of course any older Android phone, or even if you want to switch over from an old iPhone, the Pixel 10 does look like it's going to be a good series to consider. The design remains slick, the cameras have already performed pretty damn well in our early tests, and the new features like Magic Q do seem like they could be genuinely useful. Throw in that long software support period and the promised upgrades to the processor performance, and these certainly could be powerful contenders for some of the best phones of the year. What do you think to Google's new phones? Are you excited to finally get your hands on them, or are you disappointed not to see some bigger upgrades here? Make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments below and check the video description for a lot more information.